You're gonna prep the vegetables first. Smell is gonna be on there from the chicken, and you'll have to sanitize your board before you start doing the vegetables. So I'll get everything ready here. And pepper. Cut it from that, your knife can slide on it. You want to get all the vegetables the even size so they cook evenly. So we're gonna use about a half a jalapeno. And this you're gonna get chopped kind of fine. It's really not spicy. Just cut it into slices, about the same size as the onions and the peppers. Take that last little bit off. Get rid of that. A little bit. And then the cilantro you don't need to cut fine, just like a rough cut like that. That's good. You're gonna get this hot before you put oil in, because if I put oil in now, it's gonna raise the temperature of the oil slowly, and then the oil before the oil is ready to hot and put before it's hot enough to put the chicken in, it's chicken. You don't have to, but I think it just gives it more flavor. But it might change the color of the rice a little bit, so it might make it a little brownish. But I just like the flavor of the chicken when you brown it in there, and it actually, you know, it'll render off the fat and stuff like that. Because if you just make your rice and throw the chicken in, the fat will render off into the dish, so the rice will get a little fat and greasy. But so anyway, this is probably about hot enough now, and you'll see as you put that in, you'll see it just slightly smoking, not really even smoking, but you just see how the temperature made that a little thinner. Like this is kind of thick, it'll coat that, but this is just like real nice and thin, and the color changed from that sort of yellowish to like almost clear. So I was just gonna put it. It might get a little brown, but you know, I don't mind that, especially if it's gonna give it flavor. So we're gonna let this cook like a minute or two, and you'll see it'll start to get soft a little bit, and then we'll put in the garlic. It's about a teaspoon of garlic, just fresh chopped garlic with the seeds. Again, a jalapeno really wasn't very spicy, so I'm gonna add a little bit of chili powder. I don't always put chili powder in it, but it'll give it a little bit of color and a little bit of spice, because that jalapeno was just a little weak. You wanna cook it in the pan before you add any liquid. And we're gonna go with a little cumin, probably about a teaspoon of cumin. That's about a teaspoon. That you don't need to cook too long, so before you put any liquid. So then we're gonna put the tomato in next. And this you don't really want to cook too long. And then we'll go with the rice. That's 2 cups of rice. And you put the rice in there, and then you mix the rice up. Try to coat the rice with all that oil and all the stuff. You coat the rice. try to make sure every grain of rice is coated. Then we're gonna put the chicken in. If there's any liquid left from that, definitely want that in there. And then, so that was 2 cups of rice. So for 2 cups of rice, you want to double the rice, double the liquid. So that's 4 cups of broth. We have a organic chicken broth. This is low sodium. So that's a pretty good chicken broth. So this is 4 cups. So we're going to use the whole. And then when this is low sodium, so there's not much salt in there. We put some salt in the chicken, but it does need a little bit more salt. Don't taste this right now because you got that raw chicken in there, and that is salmonella. And we're gonna use, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon of salt. Maybe a little bit more, teaspoon and a half. But after that comes to a full boil, and before all the liquid is absorbed, then you want to taste it because it should be safe. You know, salmonella will die off at about 165 degrees. Boils at 212, so then you can taste it, see if the salt is okay. And I'm just gonna put some pepper in there. So, you know, you see it is a little bit on the brown side, and that's really from the bottom of the pan and from browning the chicken, which I don't mind that. I'm gonna put a little bit of tomato sauce in there too. I don't always put tomato sauce in there either. It depends on the tomatoes. These tomatoes, we're in January now, so tomatoes aren't great this time of year. If it's in the middle of the summer and the tomatoes are really nice and red and juicy and ripe, you might leave the sauce out and just add maybe another tomato. But just remember, when you're putting more tomato in there, it's adding liquid to it. So you might need to cut back on the liquid that you're going in. Then we're just gonna cut these in nice long thin slices, and then we'll fry them. You just cut them on a bias like that, about that thick. When the rice was the water was mostly absorbed, the liquid was mostly absorbed, I put the lid on there, so you can see it's almost done. It's still a little bit liquid, so now I can put the cilantro in. Because actually, if you wait till it's completely dry and all the liquid is absorbed, it's real hard to mix the cilantro in there. So, but you'll see it's still a little bit liquidy. So this is one version of arroz con pollo. So we have the rice, the chicken is cooked all the way through, and we have some sweet plantains with it. We have a little bit of guacamole. You can do different things. You can put peas in it. You can put carrots in it. But this is the version that we decided to do today. So, and according to Nancy, my wife, this was my favorite dish. That's what she told everybody at our wedding. So this is a special dish for us.